Greetings and welcome back everyone. If you like these daily crypto analysis videos, hit the like button and subscribe. Please share these videos with your friends to help the channel grow. I'm CryptoSnake, back again to discuss some Bitcoin analysis. Currently it would appear that Bitcoin is respecting the pennant that I drew out, and if you've been following my channel, you know that I laid this pennant out quite a while ago to respect the monthly trend. And throughout this pennant we've been testing this upper range, striking down to the bottom range, and we are actually nearing the end of this pennant for a potential breakout for the bull run. I was hoping to have a little bit of a more defined market overview of where the market might be going, but for the moment the Kijun-sen has just been plateauing straight through here, and a lot of the indicators are still messed up from this gigantic pump which struck us through the upper pennant targets, which a lot of people in the crypto space called the bull run breakout, and I warned that it was very likely to break back down, and we did. We continued side trending in this channel as I drew out in the previous video, before striking the upper pennant target here and breaking back down. Bitcoin has once again tested this upper pennant range and broken back down, being rejected. There is a slight possibility of a breakthrough if this daily Kijun-sen continues side trending and doesn't actually adjust down into a bearish direction, just continues to side trend. We may very well side trend through this pennant position. However, we have been rejected from this not once but twice now since weakening this resistance, which means this resistance is still very strong and in play. And the daily RSI has broken through this support level and is now testing it once more. What reinforces my belief that we are very likely going down from this position, however, is on the Heikin Ashi, which the Heikin Ashi is a measurement of where the money flow in the market is going, whether it's going into the coin or out of the coin. We have, after testing this upper pennant position, posted a red candle on the Heikin Ashi indicating that money is now leaving the market. Normally this doesn't change within one candle. There's very few instances where it does. Most of the time it will continue down into either a gigantic plunge or a minor dip. What's important to take into account is that we are restricting in this pennant range, so I don't think this dip would go very far. The lowest we could see is probably around 61.90 or so on Coinbase's chart. And as I laid out in the other video, Binance is still having a crazy price discrepancy which has broken it out of the pennant position. But this price is an outlier to the other exchanges. As you can see, it's still following the general pattern, and hopefully it will equalize with the prices eventually. Going back to the Coinbase chart though, if we look back in the chart and switch back to the candles, the Chikou span is actually below the price, which is very bearish. If the Kijun-sen breaks down from this into another bearish move, that would be confirmed bearish, and we are very likely to see a dip down to the 6200 level from there. Now, prior to this gigantic long squeeze down, we were actually moving in a bullish direction, possibly testing this before eventually moving into a bearish move to break down. The price barely had any time on the daily candles to break back up to the daily Kijun-sen, so we had that short squeeze which launched us directly over that and then pulled back directly to it. So right now we are kind of respecting this, and my overall consensus is that it is more likely that we are going to break down even with the bullish SAR dots down here. They are very separated from the price, so support for these SAR dots wouldn't be until 6100, which is where the long-term trend line would be. However, the pennant has offered some very good support around the 6200. Now, if we go down to the 4-hour chart, the technical analysis is still kind of muddled, with the Chikou span moving towards the price, potentially indicating more side trending for now. We did finally break down from this upper RSI range where we've been stuck up in the 60 to 70 range, which gave us that massive red candle today where we found some support on the 4-hour cloud. We wicked down there twice, finding support. The Kijun-sen is currently underneath the Tenkan-sen, indicating we are moving in a more bearish direction. We're very likely to break through this cloud. More than likely what's going to happen is we are going to side trend over the next day or so before breaking down into this cloud and potentially having a breakdown. But there is a slight chance we could break up. This is very heavy resistance, so this obviously has less likely chance of happening than an actual breakdown. If we move down to the 1 hour to take a look at this gigantic candle today, we broke through the 1 hour cloud, smashing down on the RSI down to the overextend range. And this is kind of where we've equalized right now. The RSI is rising, but the price also is not rising that much either. And the Kijun-sen is also downtrending, indicating that we are very likely to break down once more and continue on our downslope. So before I get on with the rest of my technical analysis and price targets, if you'd like to join my free Telegram for insights on the market, including Bitcoin, altcoins, and a sneak peek to my personal entries and exits, join t.me/cryptosnakepit. Links directly in the chat, and a link on how to install Telegram, which is a free chat program I use to communicate with my VIPs, in the description below. I've also launched my official Twitter, so follow me at CryptoSnakeVIP to get regular updates. And we've been pulling some savage gains in the VIP on leverage trades and altcoins. I've given out a list of potentially discount altcoins I plan to ride for the bull run to my VIPs, which I believe is just around the corner, as well as some hot altcoin swing positions every week. If you want information on how to get into the VIP group to be part of these trades, the information is also in the description below. So as for some general price targets on Bitcoin, I think there's a very likely chance that we are actually going to break back down to the 6200 Whether this is from completing the Bart-Simpson formation down and then another Bart-Simpson down again to establish the trend back somewhere around this area, or a slow trend down, we are very likely to see the 6200 as we come towards the closing of this pennant. That being said, trading in the end of this pennant is also very dangerous because most pennant positions don't actually squeeze all the way to the end. They eventually break out somewhere around there. So there's a slight potential that we could break out from this position and start moving into the bull run. But for the moment, I'm betting more on it breaking down to the lower pennant target, trending back up into this pennant before a potential breakout. Now moving over to Bitcoin shorts, and I just want to point out what is kind of concerning for the bearish outlook here is that we are trending up on these shorts where we squeeze down. We are nearing that all-time high once again, and the RSI is moving up on the 4 hour up to the 60 range, but we're not likely to have a pullback until we get overextended into the 70. Now what could possibly happen here is we could break down on Bitcoin down to the 6200 level, and these shorts would become overextended, and then we would squeeze right back up for another smaller Bart-Simpson formation, which would look something similar to this, breaking back down, and then we are going to side trend for a little bit before hitting that short squeeze again, coming up to about here, and continuing through before breaking out. And back to Bitcoin shorts. As it stands right now, we're kind of in a race as a ticking time bomb, as we saw this last previous short squeeze brought us all the way up to 7,000. Shorts are still very, very high. And on the daily, we didn't really break down that far. We broke down to about halfway, maybe 30% of the way down. If we were to break down on the daily all the way down, that would definitely propel us up to about 10K, if not even further than that. So this right now is the looming time bomb. This is the thing to be watching right now, as this would be the catalyst very likely for the bull run to influx a lot of money and a lot of FOMO back into the market. Now obviously when we saw this break up to 7,000, there was a lot of FOMO there, but it wasn't enough to actually break through this resistance. Now if we jump on over to the news, interesting story is that Japanese government is working to simplify their cryptocurrency tax filings. Now, if you don't live in Japan, this obviously means nothing to you. However, it does set a precedent for governments to be handling cryptocurrency as taxes a little bit easier. So ideally, other governments would start adopting better cryptocurrency taxes and tax systems. Right now, Japanese citizens pay a scaling 15 to 55% on their earnings for cryptocurrency, depending on how much they make. US tax laws are still very similar with the capital gains tax. So ideally this will prompt other governments to actually take a look at their cryptocurrency tax laws. Another interesting story is that the US Marshals to auction off 4.3 million in Bitcoin next month. This is just kind of an interesting story. Basically they collected about 60 Bitcoin from these criminals in cases, and these forfeited assets are going to be auctioned off to the highest bidder. It is an interesting story to see how law enforcement is actually dealing with the seizure of assets with cryptocurrencies. But that's pretty much it for the news today. There's not a lot of interesting things going on. Moving to the Bitcoin market cap, again, we have barely even moved. We're still sitting at 53 to 54%. As this range restricts, I'm not expecting any major moves on the market cap until we either break out or break down. The overall market cap for cryptocurrency is sitting at $208 billion. We lost about $4 billion, which makes sense with the red candle on the Heiken Ashi on the daily chart. Altcoins also suffered quite a bit today, some down 5%, some down 1% from Bitcoin's short collapse. Now if Bitcoin does go down further, I do plan to scoop up some of these alts a lot cheaper than they are right now, as most altcoins do tend to follow Bitcoin's movement. In fact, they tend to follow it almost twice as much. So if Bitcoin falls 5%, then altcoins will fall about 10%. But let's go ahead and flip over to Ethereum, which also again follows the same rule as altcoins. If Bitcoin falls, Ethereum is actually taken with it as well. Now Ethereum is kind of in a strange range right now, where it was moving for a downturn. Bitcoin kind of took it with it, and then we had that nice short squeeze up to here where it took major profit in the VIP group. But the price has also started to slump down. However, on the daily Kijun-sen, we are moving for a potentially bullish movement of a TK crossover in a bullish pattern, and the Chikou span is under the price right now, which is bearish. So it is sending a little bit of mixed signals, but for right now, I'm expecting a test back to the 215 level. It is possible if we get a bullish TK crossover to come up and test this cloud around the 228 to 230. However, if Bitcoin does dump, it's very likely to take it down with it, possibly down to the 192 or so. More than likely it'll strike off that 196.44, as Bitcoin doesn't have very far to fall. But for right now, I am temporarily slightly bullish on Ethereum, and I'm definitely leaning bearish on Bitcoin's price. But that's it for today's technical analysis. If you do make any trades today, I wish you luck. Please join me in my free Telegram at t.me/CryptoSnakePit, where I give up-to-the-minute updates on Bitcoin and my personal exits and entries for the private VIP group. Also included is our private VIP chat where you can chat with many of our experienced Savage traders, get personal technical analysis from me, and answer any questions you might have. This is Crypto Snake, signing off.